Carlos Alcaraz has broken onto the tennis scene like nobody else. Within months, he's established himself as the guy to beat. He climbed to the top of the ATP rankings with his maiden Grand Slam win at the US Open, but even he has his limits. The Spaniard lost his first game to David Goffin at the Astana Open, and that's exactly what we're talking about in today's video. Let's get started. First up, Alcaraz out of Astana Open. Carlitos has taken over the tennis world as the teenager climbs to the very top of the sport, but it wasn't his day against Goffin in Kazakhstan. The Spaniard struggled from the start of the game, and David used his pace and consistency from the baseline to pull ahead. At 5-2 in the first set, the Belgian faced a dip in his game and concentration as Carlos fought back and scores came to level at 5 games each. But the world number 66 held his ground, broke again, and moved ahead. Then he held comfortably and claimed the first set. He continued to aggressively gameplay in the second set as well, while Alcaraz struggled to time the ball from all over the court. David clinched his biggest win of the season when his opponent pushed a volley wide, and he celebrated his monumental win by letting out a roar. It was a loss in straight sets for Carlos in his first game as the world number 1. Next up, Alcaraz talks about his performance. It's a hard loss, but the world number 1 was super honest in his post-match conference. He credited his opponent for playing really well and sharing that coming back to competition was never easy, so full kudos to Goffin. He spoke about the court and said it wasn't an easy one to get used to, so it was complicated. The Spaniard shared it was a tough defeat for him and his confidence. He mentioned his opponent played aggressively and he couldn't handle the pressure he put on him, something he needed to learn to manage. He said that he had to note all the lessons from the game. Good for him. We have no doubt that Carlitos will come back stronger. Following this, Goffin on his incredible win. What's funny is that David wasn't even supposed to be playing in this tournament. He had failed to qualify after not converting 2 match points in his final qualifying match against Luca Nardi, but then Hold Your Rune withdrew from the event and the Belgian took his place in the main draw as a lucky loser and came up against the world number 1, and he showed up when it mattered the most. Goffin rolled back the years with his win to reach the second round in Astana. After his win, he commented that he always believed that he has the level to cause some trouble against the top-ranked players. David admitted he hadn't been playing too well in his past few tournaments, but he always practiced hard and believed in himself. He shared that playing against the world number 1 on a big stage in front of an enormous crowd ignited a fire inside him which gave him the power to play his best tennis. The 31-year-old said that he had to fight hard, and that's exactly what he did. He believed he had it in himself, and he was happy that he proved himself right. Well, we couldn't be prouder of him. He fully deserved this win. Coming up, Goffin versus Adrian Mannarino. David played some of his best tennis to get past Alcaraz, but he couldn't reproduce his performance in the second round against the Frenchman. Despite winning the first set, the Belgian couldn't hold on to his lead, and Mannarino grabbed his win in over 2 hours. The 34-year-old caused an upset by winning against Wawrinka in the first round in Astana, and he backed it up against Goffin too. He faced Andrei Rublev in the next round though, and crashed out in straight sets. The Russian lost to Stefanos Tsitsipas in the semis, and the Greek went toe-to-toe against Novak Djokovic in the final, with the Serb coming out on top. All in all, it was a great week in Kazakhstan. Moving on, Alcaraz on handling pressure. There's no doubt that the young Spaniard is the next big thing in tennis. Many are already comparing him to the big 3, and he's got all the talent to live up to those expectations, but he's also still got loads left to learn. After all, he is just 19 years old. Carlitos has previously admitted to crumbling under pressure as well, so his loss against Goffin in Astana didn't come out of nowhere. He was up against Tommy Paul in the first round of the Canadian Masters in the summer, where he was the second seed, and he confessed he found it difficult to deal with being ranked so high at a big tournament. He lost the game in 3 sets, even after a set break and a break lead, and having a match point. After the game, Alcaraz shared he felt the pressure of being the number 2 seed and number 4 in the world. He said that it was the first time he felt that kind of constraint, and he wasn't able to handle it. But the youngest more than bounced back at the US Open, where he won his maiden major and became the youngest number 1 in the sport's history. Finally, Alcaraz wants to keep getting better and better. He's showing no signs of stopping, folks. The Spaniard stated that being number 1 didn't mean that he had perfected the game, and he still had loads left to learn. Carlitos shared he wanted to stay on top for a very long time. He also said that he wanted to continue winning big titles for years to come. The 19-year-old seems determined to remain on top of tennis from here onward. We know he's got the talent to do it, and it seems like he also has the right mindset. He knows what he wants, and he's not afraid to go after it. Honestly, we're here for it. We can't wait to see all the highs this young kid from Murcia reaches. Now, let's talk about how Carlitos never expected to be number 1 so fast. First up, Alcaraz on his rise to the top. Like many kids, the Spaniard also dreamed of becoming the world number 1 and winning a Grand Slam title at least once in his career. Then, on the same day, 11 September, both his dreams came true. true. Hours after this monumental achievement, Carlos said that he turned off his mind and spent some quality time with his loved ones, and then he went right back to work. 5 days later, he was playing in the Davis Cup, almost like nothing had changed. But recently, he opened up about reaching these milestones. He commented he had little time to understand what he had achieved in New York, and he still felt like the same kid. He felt normal. It was great to do what he had done, but tennis was still the same, week after week, tournament after tournament. He said that he needed to focus on his goals and continue training. Although he shared that at the start of this year, he aimed to be in the top 15 players, he never thought he'd get to #1 so fast. The 19-year-old said that he had some good tournaments ahead before the season ended, and now he just wanted to show the best of himself in those events. And he wanted to end the season as #1 too. Folks, that is a champion mindset. This kid is going to take over the world. Up next, let's look at this incredible Alcaraz season. At the start of this season, Carlitos was 18 years old and super classy as he won his first ATP Masters 1000 title in Miami back in March. Then he lost his composure and fell apart when he was handed the phone and he heard Spain's King Felipe VI on the other end. The kid was already making history. Months later, 3 days after his 19th birthday, the Spaniard had a phenomenal run in Madrid. He defeated his idol, Rafa Nadal, in the quarterfinals, then the world #1, Novak Djokovic, in the semis, and Alexander Zverev in the final to get his second Masters 1000 trophy. After his win, he posed with King Felipe for photos, and it was evident that he was still not super comfortable in the spotlight, but there was no stopping him. He had arrived. Lastly, all praises for Alcaraz. Very few players have made their mark in tennis as quickly as Carlitos. He's been the talk of the town these last few months, and everybody is very impressed with him. Roger Federer hailed the young Spaniard as tennis's new superstar. He said tennis's future was bright with Carlos leading it. Nadal commended his fellow countryman after his US Open triumph and mentioned that he knew this title and incredible season were just the first of many. We have absolutely no doubt about that. Even Dominic Thiem stated Carlos was going to change tennis and everybody else on the tour needed to catch up with him. And he's right too. It's going to be one heck of a task for other players to keep up with Alcaraz. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Carlitos can win the ATP Finals in Turin? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.